All right. So we are live on the live streams, and we're going to go live in 3, 2, 1.
Eccoci, buongiorno a tutti e benvenuto a un altro Dalla Terra Masterclass. Today we're welcoming Sabatino di Properzio. Ciao Sabatino.
Ciao Brian, ciao.
Ciao bello, eccoti.
Ciao, ciao.
You are joining us from, where are you at? You're at the cellar, at the winery, correct?
Yeah, I'm the
Fantastic.
the winery in the testing room.
Deep
Alone.
in the tasting room, deep in the heart of Abruzzo. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to spend quite a bit of time talking about philosophy, the idea, and the region, the zones, and the incredible wines you guys have been making for 30 years over there. But first, let me just give a brief introduction for folks that are new to this. A little bit of background on Dalla Terra. Like the La Valentina winery Sabatino, siamo fondati nel 1990. Uguale.
Yes. Yeah.
So we both had the same idea in 1990. Let's start something wonderful. So he started La Valentina in 1990, and we started, or I started Dalla Terra in 1990 after working at a winery in Italy called Ca del Bosco, which kind of gave me my introduction to Italy. I worked out there for almost 5 years, and became the winemaker for Ca del Bosco, which is in Franciacorta, making sparkling and still wines. Still the leader in that area. An incredible operation that really introduced me to a lot of the people that I began working with after ending that chapter and coming back to the United States. And it was the introduction to Italy, and the introduction to let me fall in love with the stories and the complexity and the diversity that really Italy has to offer. We talk a lot about diversity these days, and yet here in the United States, we've got Sabatino, quanti varietà in America? 10. Maybe we have 10 different grape varietals, and if we're lucky in America. And in Italy, there's 600. So it's an amazing place to go play with different regions and different stories, and believe it or not, different languages and regional foods that match regional varietals. And it's a story that never gets old. So after getting a degree at Davis, I came out here and started Dalla Terra, and today we've got an incredible team, about 20 on the Dalla Terra team. We work with about 20 different families in Italy, and some of them have more than one brand. So we've got about almost twice, about 30 brands really. They're owned by about 20 different families, and the green areas are areas that we're currently working, and gray areas are opportunities for us to look at in the future. And it's been a treat to create a new business model. The business model is called Winery Direct. Dalla Terra means of the earth, Dalla Terra, and then Winery Direct is basically the wineries literally sell the wines directly into the market. They don't go through a national importer. So you can see the difference in value between the two different retail prices, the traditional model that many are working with, and our Winery Direct model. So the wineries do better, and the consumer does better as well. And in all times, but especially in these times, value really matters. So we believe that we're bringing some of the best values to Italy, and we're bringing them to the United States, and we're bringing them in a really focused, curated portfolio of just about 20 families, with some room to expand in the future. But we really want to bring the best of the best in each region. So I want to especially thank our Dalla Terra team right now at the outset for making all that happen. And it's been a real treat to work with us. You know, the average stay at Dalla Terra is over 10 years, so it's a real treat. We're trying to continue that as we move into the current chapter. Not trying, we're definitely doing that. And we, believe it or not, and Sabatino and I were talking about that a few days ago. The optimism we have for the future when we get through this current chapter. So andiamo avanti.
Sì.
Parliamo un po' di te and Abruzzo. Sabatino and I met through a mutual friend, through Stefano Inama. He's the one that introduced us. Inama has been working with us for just a tiny bit longer than La Valentina. And it's been an incredible, wonderful relationship to work with a winery that's literally the same age that we are. Okay, maybe we're 30. Working with a couple of your brothers, Roberto on the right and Andrea on the left, as well as your crazy, wonderful Animale winemaking consultant, Luca da Toma. He's been with you since 1998. So a lot of consistency, which is what we're really leading about. Anyway, where should we start, Sabatino? Maybe with a little bit of where you guys are located in Italy, give people an idea. Dove siete?
We are in Abruzzo. You can see the map. Abruzzo is exactly in the center of the Italy, on the east coast, so on the Adriatic Sea. Abruzzo is a very particular region. It's not so big. Less than 2 million people lived in the region. We have about 150 miles of coast, but as you can see from the map, large part of the region is occupied by mountain. In Abruzzo, there are the highest mountain southern the Alps in Europe. It's possible to ski in several places, in many places, regularly all the winter. And this is very important because we have mountain at about 30-40 minutes far from the coast.
Let me just interrupt you for just a minute right there, Sabatino. You guys, in order to really understand what he's talking about, you have to realize that you can go from the ocean, from these beautiful islands and fishing boats and incredible seafood on the beach, and then you head up into the mountains, and these peaks are granite. These peaks are 10,000 feet, and they separate basically Rome, which is basically due west of them, separate the Mediterranean Sea to the west and the Adriatic Sea to the east. And it is dramatic. You can sit up there, like you said, you can be skiing and then come back home and head down to the coast and have a glass of Cerasuolo or something down by the seaside. It's one of the greatest contrasting regions anywhere. Okay, vai avanti.
Yeah, this is true. This is usually happen when we have snow at, for example, in the second part of April. So we have still snow on the mountain, but with the spring, we have also high temperature on the coast. So it's possible to do ski and swim or mountain and beach life. Abruzzo, what I'm saying is largely occupied by mountain, and in three quarter of the region live less than 25% of the population. So large part of the population is on the coast, and the internal part occupied by high mountain. There are only small old villages. Only L'Aquila is unfortunately known for the earthquake of some years ago. Only L'Aquila is a big center in the mountain zone. You can see in the picture Maiella. Maiella is more than 2,000 meters on the sea level. So in our tradition, there are both fish kitchen and mountain kitchen, but historically the region is based on farming. So the most important recipes are based on meat meals.
And a lot of your wine, I mean, you guys are Abruzzesi through and through, pure and pure. You love the region, you love the area. As you said, it's based on the local foods are different between the sea and the mountains. And some of your wines, one of the wines we're going to talk about later today is the Spelt. And those of you who've ever gone to a good market can find Spelt grain, S-P-E-L-T. That's how it's spelt. And it is, he doesn't even laugh at my jokes. Oh, anyway, it is the mainstay of life out there. And it's really what carried them through difficult times like World War II and whatnot, when food was tough to get a hold of. So there's a lot of respect and a lot of acknowledgement, let's say, for the region, for the foods of that area. And in addition to the seafood foods, and some of Sabatino's best friends owns a great restaurant down on the coast there. But in addition to that, there's some incredible mountain restaurants. And I think one of your friends also un ristorante stellata. So there's a lot of recognition for Michelin star level restaurants out there. The food is extraordinary.
Just a few days ago, I don't remember if Slow Food or Gambero Rosso published an article regarding cheeses in Abruzzo, and they discovered that in Abruzzo there are more than 1,800 kind of flowers and herbs. That is more than 70% of what is present all over Italy. And this give different flavor to the cheese produced from each different part of Abruzzo, depending on the characteristic of the grass and of the flowers.
Wow. Some people they send postcards when they miss you, and Sabatino literally sends you cheese. He literally packs up cheese and mails it to you. For a country that's famous for Philadelphia cream cheese and American cheese, it's pretty much all we have. But your diversity out there is incredible, and it ties in with with the diversity, the grapes that we were talking about, and that Italy as a whole. These things matter. These things matter. The fact that somebody is out there counting and paying attention to these things and understands the connection speaks to the importance of the connection between the Abruzzese and the land. Can we get back a little bit, Sabatino, to the Maiella? Let's get back to the land and to the area a little bit. Let's talk about it's such an incredible place. When people think about the Rheingau, they think about Alto Adige, or they even think about the mountains of Sicily or the steep slopes of where Dami is up in the Prosecco area. These are incredibly steep vertical slopes, mountainous. But what they don't have is a giant, Yosemite Park right behind them. So you've got a national park right behind you that's kind of separating you from Rome. And considering how close you are to Rome, it's a whole nother world when you get to Abruzzo. Abruzzo, you guys, is one of the most wild places in Italy. I don't mean like Ibiza wild parties in the summertime, or there used to be anyway. I mean like wild, like there are bears walking around up there. Ci sono orsi ancora?
Yes, full.
Okay.
Yes.
Full.
We have the name is Orso Beer Marsicano. Marsicano came from the name of a part of L'Aquila province that is Marsica, and is a kind of a brown beer.
Is this a Marsicano beer? This would be a Marsicano beer. No, that's a
Californian beer.
So you've got a certain species of bear that lives in those mountains. It's an amazing place, you guys. And you said a lot of the in the mountains it's meat based. There's hunting, there's skiing, there's ski mountaineering up there. It's an incredibly, and it's also a national park, which I think ties in a lot to your thinking, your philosophy, and why this region is so special to you, because it doesn't back up into another village and another town and rolling hill after rolling hill. It backs up into big mountains, and it probably contributes a lot to the soil, the land that you have, as well as to the area, the winds that come through.
Yes, absolutely. Italians are a little bit different from Americans. We love much more than you to stay in the land where we have born, and people from Abruzzo is much more different, because love the land where we have born. We are very linked to our places. We love our places. We respect our places. I'm particularly lucky because I was born in Pescara. Pescara is the largest town of Abruzzo. Is on the coast, but at the same time, I am 40 minutes from the mountain. The cellar, La Valentina, with part of the vineyard, is located at less than 10 miles from Pescara, 15 minutes by car, and I am in the country. So this is something that, of course, I love, and all the people love.
It's an area that, that is known to Americans for certain things. It's not known for others. It's not known so much for the cuisine, for the incredible beaches. It's not known for the mountains and the back country. It's not known for the wildness. It's not known for its proximity to Rome. And it's not really known as a destination for many Americans. Italians know all about it, but most Americans don't tend to go there. Instead, what it's known for is wine, but bulk wine. It's known for just massive quantities of wine that the British would call plonk. It's just, it's a high production wine region. And it's a wine region that produces a lot, exports a lot, and has created a certain amount of notoriety for that. And yet in the last, well, since you guys really got rolling, let's say in the last 30 years, the region itself has changed. And we can draw some comparisons to areas like what Inam has been doing with some of the top producers in Soave, when it changed from Soave Bola to an area that is focusing on high quality. But very few regions as much as Abruzzo have changed. And yet the change, at least from my perspective, and the reason when we started talking so many years ago that I was interested in it was because I saw the potential in the area, in the people, in the grape, in the Montepulciano d'Abruzzo grape, but it hadn't really been expressed very well 30 years ago. It was just beginning to come into its own. Today, there are, you can correct me, but I'm going to guess that there may be a dozen, maybe 12 really amazing producers in a region that produces an astounding amount.
A little bit more.
But there aren't 20, 30, 50, whatever. It's a small group of high quality producers. And there's room for more, but it takes somebody with a certain amount of vision and an idea and an optimism that you can do something, at least when you started, that very few had done before. Yeah, there were some before you, and there were, but it wasn't a clear decision. It wasn't a clear direction that the market was going into. What made you believe in high quality wine in your backyard?
When we start the La Valentina project, the idea behind was soon to try to make something special, something different from the mass. What is important, open a parenthesis. What is important to say is that Abruzzo is the 5th region in Italy for quantity of wine produced. So it's a wide production, and not more than 20% of the production is bottled in the region. That means that a large part of the production is sold by bulk, and not all is bottled like a Montepulciano. So coming back, our idea was to do something completely different from what was happening in the region. We have never thought to make a big cellar, but a small familiar cellar, very focused on the quality. So what we have tried to do from the first day was to try to obtain the best from the characteristic of the grapes coming from our vineyards, making differently, working differently in the vineyard and working differently in the cellar.
The key that I think anyone who's spent enough time in vineyards and wine understands that it's become crystal clear to you and your brothers and Luca is the importance of the vineyards. And to that end, you decided, I don't know, maybe it was 4 years ago or so, to get the wines officially certified as organic. So maybe 2015, 2016 or something like that, you began to officially label them as organic, get them certified. But you've been working in that direction for a long time. Before that, kind of clearing your idea that it made sense and it made a difference. And just to let people know, you've got about, we'll just say 100 acres of vineyard.
You know, Brian, what we have done is a track done step by step. When I started my collaboration with Luca D'Attoma was 1998, and at those time, talking of natural wine was not so fashion like today. We changed our approach because we have only continued our process to try to leave the vines free to express themselves, to express with the characteristic of the land where their roots find the life. So we have, through the years, all continue to follow this process, continue to correct our track, trying to obtain the best quality, but first of all, wines and grapes really unique. My idea is that the grapes coming from the hill where my vineyards are located must be different from the wine coming from the opposite, from the vines planted on the opposite hill. So for me, the word terroir was much more important than now. Today, natural wine, terroir are words that are always present, talking of vineyard, cellar, and wine. For me today, no, it's no more like in the past. What
So
we
it's
have
been
changed, the only thing. Sorry.
No, I was going to say it's been an evolution for you, not a revolution. It's not something that you woke up one morning and said, let's do this. It's been a road, a process you've been working on for 3 decades already. It's a continuation of this thinking and also a verification that the work that you've done has brought positive results. It's helped to differentiate the personality of the individual wines, and it's also helped to increase the overall quality, because you only make about 35,000 cases, 9-liter cases a year on about 100 acres of land. And so it's a small enough entity divided by all the different wines that you make that allows you to really drill in and really begin to focus on the individual wines and their personality. And one other comment I want to make is that you have decided to focus on grapes really from that region. You haven't focused on international varietals, and you haven't focused on varietals that do well in other regions. I mean, you're really planting what Abruzzo does best, which is a mix of Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, Trebbiano d'Abruzzo, Pecorino, Piano, and Cerasuolo, which is one of only, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 official rosés in all the Italian. Is that right? 4 or 5?
I don't know exactly, but I think it's the only one that is a single varietal, because Cerasuolo is 100% Montepulciano grapes. So same
Correct.
grapes used for the reds are used for the Cerasuolo.
Cerasuolo rosé. So, and that kind of comes from the word ciliegia, kind of a cherry red rosé color. But anyway, so I just wanted to bring that into focus in terms of the varietals you're working with. And then we can get back to, for me, what the key point here is all about quality. It's all about what you're taking from the soil and how you're working with the land. And you have different vineyards right in front of the winery that we saw with that beautiful winding path that goes up. And then they go all the way up into, they butt right up against the national park, which is much higher elevation. And you have, we'll just mention it here, you have a separate project that you started many years ago with Stefano Inama, who we work with up in the Suave region near Verona, kind of. And that's a joint venture that is way up in the hills, much higher elevation vineyards. And you can I just wanted some ideas, because when I think about Abruzzo, I think about contrast. I think about elevation, I think about exposure, and I think about, in your case, the unyielding commitment to quality, starting with the vineyards and how you achieve that through the biodiversity in the vineyards and through allowing these things to express themselves.
What is important to say is that yes, you are right. We are very concentrated on the local varietal, on the typical grapes, but more we are concentrated in Pescara province. I have decided to work only with the vineyard planted in Pescara province, that is in the center of Abruzzo. Because considering the size of La Valentina, that is a small, medium-sized cellar, for me was very important to give a unique expression to all my wines. So focusing on Pescara province, making wines coming from different parts, single vineyard coming from different parts of Pescara province, I want to show the different expression of our varietal, where are planted in different places. When before I have said that I'm very lucky because I have vineyard at, as said, at 10 kilometers from the coast, but at the same time I have vineyard located at 400 meters on the sea level at the feet of Maiella mountain. And of course, I have two different microclimate, two different kind of soil, two different percentage of sun rays and the rain, and different expression of the local varietal. As you said, we are largely focused on Montepulciano. We make 4 Montepulciano wines and 2 Cerasuolo. Then we produce a couple of Trebbiano, 100% Trebbiano d'Abruzzo grape, 1 Pecorino, and a small percentage of Fiano.
It's been really fun, I think, intriguing for us to be able to introduce these ones to the U.S. market piece by piece over the years. And it's as you can see right here, you get the whole gamut here, from Pecorino, Fiano, and then the 2 Cerasuolos. And across. One of the wines that I think is kind of your calling card in the United States is obviously the Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, which is the one in the top left. And then the wine that I think for many of us is kind of our house wine, the wine that we drink on a regular basis at home, would be the Spelt. It's a little bit of a step up, but at the same time, it is the bang for the buck. The value that wine gives has made it super successful across the United States. People recognize this year in and year out with the Spelt. Can you tell us about your thinking of the Spelt, how you see this wine in that mix that we're looking at in terms of your portfolio of products? And when you come to the States, you can see the different wines that people are working with over here. And you and I have spoken about how the Spelt fits into kind of the mix that people have an opportunity to acquire over here in the States. And obviously people don't want to just drink, basic, big, fruity, high alcohol wines all the time. Most of the time that's okay. But now and then we want to break away. And for many, the Spelt hits that note, that rusticness, that balanced tannins that's in it. And these long, beautiful finishes that you've become known for. So tell us about the Spelt, a little bit of the production and your impressions of how it has grown in recognition as well in Italy.
Okay, Spelt is for me, it's very difficult to describe the wine because it's a wine that I love. It's our first Riserva of ever. At the beginning, we only produced 2 Montepulciano, the regular La Valentina, and at those time it was called Montepulciano Selezione because we couldn't use the word Riserva. It was not allowed by the DOC law at those time. So we realized the spelt because I wanted to have a wine linked to the land where we are. Spelt is a name of a kind of grain, farro. And yes, the name came from a strange history. The place where the part of the vineyard and the cellar are located is called Spoltore. And looking into the history of the village, because now it's a small town, but before it was a village, I discovered that in the past, German tribes live on the hill where now there is the village. And to survive, they cultivate a kind of grain, a kind of wheat that in Italian we called farro. In Germany, they called spelt. So the history said that the name Spoltore came from spelt because the 2 names sounds more or less like the same. And also in the common of Spoltore symbol, there are 2 wheat of farro, of spelt. So for us was a mix, a fantasy name to link the wine to the place where the cellar and the vineyard are. So to say this wine came from Spoltore area. And this Riserva is 100% done from grapes coming from this area. So, like all the Riserva done by Abruzzo producer at the beginning was very, very hard because also, as said also before, large part of the production is sold like very cheap wine. So explain during the fair to the customer, to the people, that it was possible to make Riserva Montepulciano at the beginning was difficult. But I have touched with my hand that through the years, how the approach of the people to Montepulciano is completely changed. How people have understood, consumers and operators have understood that we have, in Abruzzo, there is a production that came from $1 for bottle wine to $200 for bottle wine. The process was long, take a long time, but today the group of private producers is a little bit bigger, and is a good group making high quality, and having more bottle on the market, we have much more opportunity to say it's possible to drink a great Montepulciano.
You're right. It takes you need more ambassadors. You need more ambassadors, quality ambassadors from the region that are putting out quality wines that are available throughout the U.S. in order for people to begin to notice and recognize these wines. It's been a treat to see, not just, when I'm in the area, we see all the wines that are out there, obviously in the region. It's one thing. You come back over here, I'm not going to say it's a desert of high quality wines, but from Abruzzo, but it's great to see certainly over the last 10 years, an increase, because the wines are so deserving and so compelling. And just as a note, some people get a little easily confused, I would say, between your grape, which is the Montepulciano d'Abruzzo Africano, which kind of has the shape of the continent of Africa with big shoulders, and it kind of comes down like this, with Prignolo Gentile, which is a different grape that's grown in the town of Montepulciano. And I believe that you're leasing the name Montepulciano to that little town. Is that correct? Because you guys were the first to come up with the name Montepulciano. It's yours.
This is a very challenging issue, and I don't want to enter in this challenge.
Okay.
The challenge starts a lot of years ago. But today, I think that year after year, the two production, Montepulciano d'Abruzzo and Rosso and Nobile of Montepulciano, are very, very different. So also if there is a word in common, but I think that people now really understand that there is a difference, and which is the difference.
That's it. So one is the town, Vino Nobile di Montepulciano, the noble wine from the town of Montepulciano, and the other one is
a grape.
Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, the grape itself.
Yeah, they take the name from the village. We take the name from the grapes that originate from Greeks' time.
Bravo. Bravo, bravo. Are there a few things that you wanted to share further about the last 30 years, which has been a constant progression and evolution? And ideally, if we can move the clock forward, and we're looking at some of the things that you're currently working on that you would like to see developed in the next 5 years. What are some of your dreams, i tuoi sogni for the things that are coming up in terms of the way that you're farming the vineyards, in terms of the market itself, in terms of things that you'd like to share with the market, or things that you'd like to see be expressed further? I know that one of the things that you and I have talked about a lot was, the slow introduction of additional varietals, the slow introduction of finding a little bit of Fiano, and of having these indigenous varietals from your region, Pecorino, and things like that has been important to you. But are there certain areas that you'd like to expand into, given the opportunity in the next few years?
Brian, I'm very conservative, and I don't know if it's good or not. I'm very convinced of my idea. We have started with the Trebbiano and Montepulciano grapes. We have introduced the Pecorino, I think 12, 13 years ago. And because I really believe in the quality of the Pecorino. I think that Pecorino can be between the best Italian white grapes. Pecorino can be compared to the noble white Italian grapes like Soave, like
Verdicchio, forse.
Absolutely.
Timorasso, Nuovo, Timorasso, molto interessante.
We have started to plant and vinify Pecorino for this reason, and we continue to research on the quality of this grape. On the other side, in Abruzzo, we have also other 4, 5, 6 white varietal, but the quantity produced is very, very small. And honestly, I don't believe really too much. More of these varietal are used for bubbles. And I think I will never produce bubble. I think there are regions where the bubbles are born, and,
which is farther north, isn't it? It's even north of Italy, perhaps.
And
I've been in your cellar.
My approach is this: in my land there are Montepulciano and Trebbiano and Pecorino. I do Montepulciano, Trebbiano, and Pecorino. I don't think that someone in Alto Adige or in Franciacorta will plant Montepulciano. This is my particular approach. So I will continue on this varietal. The Fiano is just a small drop,
right?
In our production. So it's 1 hectare, it's 5,000 bottles. It's more a joke than a business. And we continue to research, following what's also happening in the weather changes. So we try to accord the kind of system that we have in the vineyard to what we are touching in terms of weather change, trying always to have wines that respect the characteristic of the DOC, respect the terroir where the vineyard are planted, but offered with a contemporary style. I like.
All right, let's take that let's take that idea. And if you could just say a few words about your project with Inama, the Binomio project. So because that's it, it's been an interesting experiment, an interesting opportunity, both personal as well as professional in terms of looking at some of the higher elevation vineyards. It's worked for you. You've acquired other vineyards in and around the Binomio vineyards for La Valentina because you like what's happening. So what are some of the things that you've learned from that vineyard? And that was really an experiment for the two of you to get together from the north and from Abruzzo and do a project together and see what happens with the sole objective was to throw away the balance sheet, which is difficult for you, being a ragioniere, and to come forward with the creativity, really see what kind of quality you could come up with in this one special project, which, by the way, is available in the States, of course.
Okay, the project was born on 1998, and exists only for one reason, because there is a great friendship behind. Because after all these years, we are still on the horse, riding together, me and Stefano, trying to do always the best, great research, great discussion, but our friendship is very strong and is the basis of the project. The project was soon very important for La Valentina because due to Stefano's ambitious idea, for his love for Abruzzo, we have soon started to do something special, something different. And when we had the occasion to buy this very old vineyard, for us was the occasion to concrete the project, give him an own proper imaging. And was my first experience far from Spoltore. We moved from a coastal area to a more internal area at the feet of the Maiella, very close to the border of one of the national parks, so a very clean and uncontaminated area where it's possible to do something that it's not possible to do everywhere, where you have a continuous air, breezes coming from the mountain, breezes coming from the sea, very warm summer, very cold winter, so complete different microclimate. And this experience and give me the opportunity to touch the place, to touch the area of San Valentino where Binomio Vineyard is located, and was for me very important because La Valentina production area grow only in San Valentino and Scafa area, so in Binomio, where is Binomio Vineyard located.
Super. Yeah, look at that image. I mean, it gives you an idea of just the proximity to these peaks, and it's truly clean and wonderful. Sabatino, I've had a chance to go back and explore some of those areas, way outside the vineyards up in the mountains, and it's amazing that places like that are so accessible, really, and how little people are interested in going up there and spending time in these incredible national parks that are up there. They're so close to both coasts, from the Roman side as well as from the Pescara side, from the Mediterranean side, and from the Adriatic side. So I guess my big takeaway, my big thinking about this is that what you've been working with is, even though you're focusing on particular varietals, such as in this case Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, in the vineyards, while you have one kind of varietal planted that you're focusing on, you don't just have those vines out there. You encourage a lot of competition, but competition from legumes and from flowers and from different kinds of, especially flowering plants that bring in the insects. You do a lot of work with the biodiversity in the vineyard itself. Would you agree with that? Sei d'accordo?
See, yes, and it's something that we do from several years. About 20 years ago, La Valentina was one of the first seller in Italy to experiment, for example, the sexual confusion in the battles to the mosquitoes.
Oh, with the pheromones.
With
right.
the pheromones. Yes, we have been selected to experiment in the region this technique, and later we have had a lot of cultivation done during, of course, the spring, because the goal is to try to keep the life alive in the land. So it's important what happened in the land before and after what's happened on the land with the plant, with the vine, and with the grapes.
Yeah, especially with all the changes that are going on in the weather over the years. I think having the way that you're farming has been going on with both what you can see above the land and what's happening in the soil itself, not just the roots and nitrogen fixing and legumes, but also with all the incredible critters that grow down in there. That's the key to making healthy grapes all the time.
It's also very important to give to the old vines all that they need, because when a vine became old and old, it's like a man, it's like a person, need a little bit more support.
And you know about that. You know a lot about that. Not because you're an old man, but because the genes in your family. I mean, your grandmother was, 100.
You look much more older than me.
It's true. I am much more older than you. I started sooner. But going back to the vineyards and the vineyards that, in terms of the training and the work that you're doing in there, one thing that some people know, but not everybody knows about you and Andrea and Roberto, the three brothers, the Di Properzio brothers, is that all three of you are crazy. And you're crazy, you're crazy like a fox in business, but you're crazy in the sense that all of you guys regularly run marathons. Roberto has run, I don't know how many marathons. The Marionetta is,
I don't know. I think more than, I have done only 3 and then stopped.
And Roberto's done 30.
They have arrived at 30, probably.
30 marathons. So the reason I'm mentioning that is that it takes a lot of training to get there. And you don't just go out and do that overnight. And the same with the vineyards in terms of training them year after year and adjusting the way that the farming has been occurring. It's an ongoing step-by-step. Literally, that's how you run a marathon. And that's also how you've been working the vineyards. And there's a lot of respect for that. And it's a process that works. It's a process that works if you stick to the training and stick to the program. And I think that's been one of the keys of your success, not just the innovation and the willing to try and fail and see how things work, but you already know in your minds from the training, literally, the amount of work that it takes and to get to that objective. Okay, Roberto's a little crazy. 30 marathons that's an obsession. But
what I can say is that in the wine, I've been very lucky because after you, I have met 2 wonderful people in my truck, Luca Dattoma and Stefano Nama, that together with their knowledge, with their capacity, with their sensibility have helped me and La Valentina to grow, have helped me to develop a different sensitivity in consider the wine, in how I consider the vineyard and everything. So it's something that is always in progress. We have never stopped the day to say, okay, we are arrived. No, it's not yet the time.
Well, hopefully it'll be an ongoing journey for literally for generations to come. Something your daughters can become involved in and enjoy and appreciate as time goes forward. It's been a real eye opener, I think, for me over the last 10 years or so, but also for our American customers to begin to welcome and appreciate the quality and the value that that you're able to give. And also, I think it's an important sign to the region as more and more producers are able to focus on quality wines. I mean, you're the 5th largest production area in all of Italy. And only a fraction of that total production is to what we would call high quality wines. But you set an example, and it takes a long time to build and grow that. First, you have to do it in the bottle, then you have to go out and do it in the marketplace. You have to do it repeatedly so people can learn and understand and taste and share. And we're getting to that point now where we do have that kind of critical mass of great producers that are out there working together to present what's going on. And it's a treat to be able to work with you guys for all this time, and also to see the evolution within the winery, the thinking, the ideas, and the quality that just keeps going up and up and up. Hopefully we're able to match your work and the quality of your work with what we're doing over here in the States and sharing, but it's really about teaching over here. It's really about sharing new ideas. And we appreciate the time that you and Andrea have spent in the United States, coming over and sharing your stories directly, and welcoming us out there. I'm super optimistic, as I said earlier, for Dalla Terra, for what we're doing in the long-term future, and super optimistic for you guys, completely unconnected to what's going on in the world in the past few months, just in terms of the vision and the idea and your commitment to quality and to carrying the work forward. So, un grande piacere. Grazie.
Thanks.
Did you want to wrap up with any closing thoughts or questions or ideas?
Me?
You.
No, sorry.
Solo
I
te.
haven't...
Vuoi fare altri 2 commenti prima che ci chiudiamo? No. You said it all.
Just want to thank everyone that followed the conversation. Bye-bye, and hope to meet you soon in the US.
Terrific. We'd love to see you again. And grazie for everything. I want to thank everyone who's taken time to to share this masterclass. Is the last in this particular series. It's been a great journey, bouncing around to many of the different areas that we represent in Italy. And this will be posted up on our YouTube channel. And I especially want to thank our team at Dalla Terra, from east to the west and north to the south, that are keeping things churning every day. So cheers. Be smart out there, Sabatino. Be kind to everyone. You got to think locally in your area, and we need to drink locally and globally at the same time. Globalmente. Okay. Thanks, you guys. Buon lavoro.
Ciao, ciao.
Saluti.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.